Notification. Boom. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this afternoon. We have an incredible guest with us today, one who is going to give us some amazing information as well as inspiration, and that is none other than Brother Troy. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam. Pleasure to be here.
Yes, sir. Now, Brother Troy, for those who may not know, who are watching in the viewing audience, you are family and you watch me and my siblings grow up, and we, of course, grew up with your siblings and your nieces and nephews. But now this is the first time I'm having a chance to hear about your life journey and what life was like for you coming up and growing it, being a young man in the nation. So I look forward to hearing your life journey as well. When was the first time that you heard the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
Well, let me tell you the first time I heard the minister.
Okay.
So I used to hang with a bunch of friends, my brother, Najim. And one of the guys, I knew nothing about Muslims. I knew nothing about the nation, absolutely nothing. But one of the guys gave me a tape. His name is Lou. I'm forever grateful to Lou. Lou gave me this cassette tape. And the man that I heard on this tape, he was so intriguing. His voice was so inviting to me that I memorized this tape for about 2 years. And that's all I had was this tape. I didn't know what the minister looked like. I didn't even know what a Muslim looked like. But I had this tape and I memorized every word on this tape for 2 years. So that's how I first heard the minister. Do you want me to progress, or you want?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So you want the whole story? Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So the reason why it took me 2 years is because one day I'm just walking up Georgia Avenue. My brother was going to school at Howard University, and as like I said before, I memorized this tape of the minister. And I was walking up the street on Georgia Avenue, and I go and I hear this sound, and it's the minister, that voice playing in the street. So I said, well, I recognize the voice. I said, let me see where this voice is coming from. So you had to walk up to the second set of steps. And when I walked in, it was the tape connection. And your dad, he was Brother William at that time. He was behind the counter, and was another sister behind the counter as well. She worked in a tape connection. And I had to buy a bunch of tapes, because I didn't know anything about this man, and I wanted to know more about this man. So Brother Hawk came in, Brother Hawk Islam, he comes in, and your father tells him to get in touch with me, and he gets in touch with me. But it took me still a little while to come out to the mosque. He picked me up one day. We drove around. He talked to me about the teachings. And I think he invited me into the Howard Inn at that particular time. And I didn't want to go in. I was a little scared, right? I didn't know what I was going to get into, right? Yes, so after a little while, I just said, you know what? I don't know how I found out the address of the mosque. I have no idea how I found it. But I said, this is the day that I go. It was on a Sunday. It was in 1987. And I can tell you, it was probably like the second week in February, in 1987. And I walk in, and I'm going to tell you, as soon as I walked in, the first person I saw was Brother Ronnie. He used to have this beautiful smile, deep voice. He was married to Sister Ruth. It's just, when I walked in, I knew that this was the place for me. I don't know what it was, but this was the place for me. And I was very young. I was probably 20, 21, something like that. And I actually dropped out of school. I was going to college, but I had dropped out. And it's funny how you gravitate towards certain Muslims, right? Our mosque was a very unique mosque in that I didn't know the history at that time, but the minister used to teach the people personally in our mosque, right? Like the older people there at that time, they knew the minister on a first name basis because, he had spent all this time in DC, and I think he had study groups all over the place. But everybody was like so smart. Everybody was like little geniuses, right? But the main thing is everybody loved you. And that mosque was so full of love. I mean, even sisters, the elderly sisters, they would teach you, right? They would ask you how you doing. It was like having another mother. Like you have a bunch of mothers, right? Your mom was there. Your mom was there, and I got some really great memories of your mom, by the way. So the mosque was just, it was bubbling with love. Brother Aleem was the minister. When I first came in, Brother David was the captain. And it wasn't long before your dad became the captain. And that's when things really started to move, man. That's when things really started to move. But there's a one point I want to mention that, you know, sometimes you look at ourselves and we don't see the greatness in ourselves, and we think that we're insignificant. And I thought I was very insignificant at that time. I dropped out of school and so forth. And I looked at myself kind of, you know, like I was failing. And Brother Theo took me in. I think he's been on your show before. Brother Theo kind of took me in. Brother Theo is probably my best friend in life. But he was the secretary at that time. And Brother Theo used to have this aquarium. So, and all the children used to love to come in his office to watch little fish and everything. But one time he put this Godzilla in the middle of the aquarium, and that really brought people into his office all the time. So one day I'm sitting in, it's January 2nd, 1988. Now keep in mind, I just came in the mosque in 87, February 87. So this is January 2nd, 1988. The minister is speaking in our mosque, number 4, right? And I got a picture of me. Somebody sent me a picture of me about 4 or 5 years ago with me holding post that day. And Al Sharpton was there, and some other celebrities were there. But anyway, so after the mosque meet was over, I'm in the Theo's office, and the Theo says, come on, we're going to go over to Brother Aleem's office where the minister is. All these dignitaries are in there, right? I said, man, I'm not going in there, man. I'm not going in there. So he said, come on, Troy, come on. Theo's such a great brother. And he finally convinced me to go in. And then everybody is talking to Brother Aleem, Brother Minister. And he walks away from everybody and he comes over and he's talking to me. I'm just sitting down. He's just talking to me. And he says, you're a student, aren't you? I'm like, yeah. I said, but I'm not going to school anymore. I don't know how he knew that. And I told him I dropped out of school. I wasn't planning on going back. And I'm gonna tell you how powerful one conversation is, right? Because I really wasn't going back. He said, well, what do you want to do? And I said the dumbest thing that anybody could possibly say, right? I said, I want to work for you one day, sir. And he says to me, well, go back to school and I'll have a job waiting for you. Man, when I went back to school, I became a straight A student. I mean, I was just busting it out, man. And tell you how great of a student I was. I actually took the CPA exam like one semester after I graduated. And I passed the whole CPA exam in one shot. Now, only 6% of the whole population passed that exam in one shot. Only 6%. Most of the time people take it over and over and over. But that man's love for me drove me to do incredible things. Now, your dad played a serious role in my development. And I cannot thank your dad enough. For the rest of my life, I think it's probably 2 or 3 people, 4 maybe, that I'm eternally thankful for. Because like I said before, I was feeling really down at that point, right? Until the minister talked to me. And that was gracious of him to do that because he didn't know me. That tells you the type of man he is, right? So when I hear people, especially on the news, talking about the type of person he is, you have no clue. You have no clue. If he can just say a 5-minute conversation to somebody like me who is just nobody, and make me do the things that I'm doing now, you have no clue. And to be honest with you, we shouldn't even be concerned with what they say. Don't just brush it off. They're nothing, absolutely nothing. But because we know what he's done for us. So
that's right.
Your dad, let me get back to your dad, because I cannot leave this out. I think everybody needs to know this. Your dad was so powerful in his delivery, in his sincerity to the brothers. I remember certain things that he used to say, especially from the rostrum. And the thing is, your dad had the ability to make people believe anything that he basically said. So I remember, your dad will probably remember this. He says in FOI class one day, he's talking to the brothers and he goes, "I want the ground to shake when you walk." And you know, after that, man, I remember a few times I would be walking and I would be trying to see if the ground was shaking. I'm gonna tell you how much I believe in what he said. So he gave us this like feeling of invincibility, right? Because we did some crazy things under your dad. Now, let me tell you how Mayfair kind of, am I kind of rambling a little bit too much?
No, you right here.
I want to tell you the story. I'm going to tell you why I think Mayfair was so successful, the Dopebusters and all that. I was one of the Dopebusters winning the first day. During FOI class, sometimes it was on a Saturday, sometimes it was on a Monday. But when it was on a Saturday, this brother named Brother Shaid used to take us through the neighborhoods. We jogged, you know, because he was into physical fitness and whatever. And I see he was kind of like a imposing person. So I'm kind of laying the base here. So he would take us through Mayfair and we'd be chanting, you know how we chant Farrakhan, and you know, other chants or whatever. And the children would come out, people would come out, the women be clapping, and the dope boys would just disappear. So when the owner saw that happening, he approached your dad. And I remember the day before we went in, your dad came to me and said, "Troy, you think we should do it?" Because he's always asked me, I don't know what, I don't think he would listen to me, but he would ask me, "What do you think?" And I said, "Yeah, man, let's do it. Let's do it." Because anything your dad wanted to do, I was down for it, right? So let me back up just a minute on the confidence thing. I mean, when you were under that man, you know, I understand what it takes a man to make a man. I'm going to tell you a story about how confident he made me. When I was in college, I remember one time I gave a presentation in front of the class loved it. And the teacher, after it was over, she says, "Troy, everybody loved your presentation, but you got one problem." I said, "Yeah, what is that?" She says, "You don't speak the Queen's English." Let me tell you how quick your dad like builds confidence, man. She says, "You don't speak the Queen's English." I said, "I don't have to because I'm the king." Whoa! When I said that, the class was like, "Whoa!" But that's the kind of like confidence, man, that your dad would instill in, and like for young Black children that are watching this, that maybe not in the mosque, right? Believe me when I tell you, the FOI makes men, and you need to really become part of the FOI. As a young Black man, you need to. It gives you so much confidence as a man, and it's nothing that you can't conquer. It's nothing you can't conquer. And I'm not talking like hocus pocus, right? We go to Mayfair, and the first day, you know, everybody knows about the body slammer, Lil William. Lil William was the first one to grab the guy, by the way. And I'll tell you another story about Lil William. So Lil William was the first one to grab him, but right after, you know, the body slam incident, I don't know whether you heard this before.
I was gonna say, bro, Troy.
Yep.
You got to tell the story like somebody. This is the first time watching. They don't know nothing about no body slam or nothing.
Okay. I thought maybe your audience knows. So no. Mr. Reynolds, who owned Mayfair Mansions. Yeah, I am skipping there, ain't I? So he owned the community in which we used to go through with our men, you know, chant and that sort of thing. So Shaheed was the guy who took us through all the time. So when he approached us and he said, you know, he wanted us to come in, and we came in that first day. You know, it was an open air drug market. You know, children were scared to come outside. They would be shot, or, you know, something bad could happen to them. It was, you know, the drug guys that really took over the community, right? That and the adjacent neighborhood, Paradise. And we're not talking about a small neighborhood. These neighborhoods are huge, right? They're huge. So so the Muslims came in, we came in, and we basically shut it down in a day, right? Told the drug boys they gotta leave. And the body slammer, you know, that's the incident. Well, Lil William grabbed this guy with a shotgun, and brother Ronald comes over top of him and body slams the guy, and his neck gets broken, unfortunately, on that event. It's not like we're trying to hurt people. We're never trying to hurt our people. And we've always been trained never to hurt our people. But, you know, sometimes things get, you know, they would get a little rough, you know, and I've seen plenty of situations like that, where we're never ever trying to hurt our people. That's the thing. But right after that incident, we all convened. I want to say we all, the brothers, we all convened in this room. I never will forget this. This is how I first learned about faith. And you got to follow me. If you all are listening to this, follow me on this one. I understood faith from a spiritual sense. You read the book, you got to have faith in everything, and we all get that. But I didn't learn faith as a practical standpoint, from a practical standpoint, until I went into that room. Let me tell you what happened. We were in a vacant apartment upstairs. We were in ranks, and I'm short, so I'm up front. And all the other shorter brothers, they're up front, and the bigger brothers in the back. We're in ranks, you know, at ease. The police come upstairs. It's like 5 or 6 of them. They got pistols, shotguns. They're pointing the guns at us. I mean, right in our faces. And keep in mind now, I've only been in the mosque for a year, right? At that point, only a year. So I mean, do you have faith? Yes, sir. But I'm be honest with you, I was scared. I was scared. The brothers in the back, however, they were more seasoned, and they had faith. And they started, you could feel their bodies coming towards like my back. They were saying, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. They were going to deal with guns, man. I mean, guns point blank in our face, and they didn't care. They didn't care. Guess what happened? Psychologically, the police weren't prepared for that. They ran down the steps. Allah is my witness. They ran down the steps. They got the hell up out of there. That's what I learned what faith is, man. Because if those men, they were ready to just die or kill. That is real with the FOI. That's no myth. That's no story. That is real. If you look at the essence of an FOI, he's loving to his people, but he's a killer when he has to.
That's right. That's right.
And I learned that day. And whatever Allah blesses them to kill with, they're going to kill with it. So nobody should play with the FOI. And if you make that sad mistake, you are seriously making a sad mistake if you're talking about real FOI. I mean, I remember there were cases, like another story, wild story, your dad. We should call this chapter the wildness of Brother Sharif, right? So what used to happen is we used to have these pagers, and whenever there's a code red, I don't care what time of the day it was. If it was a code red, brothers left their jobs. Okay. I remember one time, sister, I think it was Sister Shonda. She was assaulted in one of the government buildings, big government building downtown DC. And It was a code red. Sisters assaulted. Man, I was in the car with Brother Amin. Brother Amin was driving. You know Brother Amin, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He was driving so fast, I could have swore the car went airborne a few times. I mean, I was just holding on to dear. I thought I was going to die before I got to the doggone building, man. Your dad, we get there. Your dad, the brother's there, outside, some inside. This is a government building. This is a government agency. Your brother, your dad is like, nobody comes in, nobody goes out. And that's where it was. Nobody could come in because all them FOI out there, nobody was going to do anything. So he went inside, and probably some other people went inside and they dealt with the situation. And then when he came out, he said, brothers, let's go. And all the brothers just fell out. Right? But it's just a crazy, who would actually take over a government building, man? Who would do that? But your dad. So I got one more story. So
yes, sir.
One time we went down to they said down the Federal Triangle, they had this like a big stage like area. And man, he took probably about 50 brothers down there, man. We were drilling. And man, the women were looking at us, man. They were like, thank you, thank you. I mean, this is downtown, black, white, everybody down there. Man, the FOI just stole the day. So that's the kind of stuff your dad had us in. I mentioned the fight down in we fought the police down in on 14th Street. We fought the police down right after we went into Mayfair. I guess the police were kind of retaliating some. And one of the brothers had pushed, one of the policemen had pushed one of the brothers. We used to always have call outs. So I think a Monday night, 14th Street used to have a lot of prostitutes up there. It used to be the prostitute area on 14th Street. But we'd be out there selling the papers. The prostitute wouldn't bother us. They knew who we were. But one of the policemen pushed one of the brothers, and all hell broke loose, man. I mean, we dealt, man. We just fought, and they got guns. And I'm gonna tell you something about black people. And now, if other people think that like just the FOI is like ready to go, if the command, like if we wanted to, look, I remember while we were fighting, I don't even know this brother. Brother walks up to me and said, here, take this. He puts a gun in my hand. The people were out there fighting along with the FOI. Tell you how much they love the FOI. And I think that love is still there. I think it's still there, right? Especially if you do good in the community, right? We were always in the community. Your dad used to, I was talking about this the other day. Your dad used to pick a community every week in the summertime, and we used to bring this big screen, and we used to show the ministers tapes at night, and the people from the communities would come out and sit with us and watch the ministers. So he would pick a community like every week, and we got a lot of people to come to the mosque just on that, right? But it was like Minister Farrakhan film night or something, right? And that's what he did. But you know, he really believed in really being in the community. And when we went to Mayfair, everybody supported us because they knew who we were.
Oh, praises to Allah. Beautiful. Yes, sir, Brother Troy. Now, Brother Troy, we have so many more questions for you, and people showing you love all across the country. I just want to let you know both my sisters, Miriam and Naima, send the greetings. For the Captain Wali out of Chicago says, finally, my brother, assalamu alaikum, alaikum salam, sir. And people are bear witness, the fruit is the best, is the Minister Aisha out of Phoenix. And people are, can't wait to put this on YouTube as well, to continue to hear these great stories from Brother Troy. Now, Brother Troy, how did your family and friends feel about you, you know, fighting police and FOI and Minister Farrakhan and all of that? How did they feel about this who weren't registered?
Well, you got to keep in mind, we had a very unique childhood. And my brother probably has explained this to you before, but for your audience, we come from, my brother and I, we come from Cambridge, Maryland, right? And Cambridge, Maryland, just for historical purposes, is the birthplace and place where Harriet Tubman was a slave. Actually, our house that we grew up in is right down the street from where Harriet Tubman was a slave. As a matter of fact, I actually bought a burial plot for myself and a couple of families because some of the Tubmans they still have a church down the road there. The Tubman was her husband's name. She was I think Ross was her last name. But what I'm saying is Cambridge was a very, very racially charged place at that time. And Harriet Tubman actually was our hero. I mean, she's from there, and Frederick Douglass was born 20 minutes away in Easton. So you got those two powerhouses that were from that area. And I'm gonna tell you something about Cambridge. H. Rat Brown came to Cambridge in the 60s. Of course, I was a little scared. I didn't know anything about it, but he came to Cambridge in the 60s, and after his speech, they burnt the city down. So Lyndon Baines Johnson personally had H. Rat Brown arrested at National Airport for trying to flee the country, because after he burnt the city down, he was trying to flee because he knew they were going to arrest him. So he has serious roots in Cambridge, right? So we always heard these stories, like our relatives, they told us what they did in the riots, right? And so it was always a racially charged place, right? So to answer your question, my family was like good. They were like good, as long as you in something good, because they knew racism all so well, right? And in our town, you didn't have to get a history book to learn about race. There was always that racial tension. So we never had any problems out of our family members. They were quite proud. As a matter of fact, when we first joined, not the whole mosque, but we took like a busload of people down to Cambridge from our mosque. And they gave Brother Aleem gave it a speech and whatever. Oh, and by the way, I am talking about your dad a lot, but let me tell you something. Brother Aleem was very instrumental in that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That man could teach. And I don't want to get too off-centered here. He had an impact on all of us as well. He was one of the most, and he still is, he's one of the most gifted people I've ever met in my life, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, just so knowledgeable. And he had this, can you imagine, you have your father as the captain and Brother Aleem as the minister? Because I tell you, there was just one lecture that the Brother Aleem mentioned, that always mentioned, that it's called The Assassins. Man, after that lecture, if Brother Aleem told us to strap a bomb to ourselves and go blow some stuff up, I felt like, okay, let's go. Because that man was he was so convincing. He was just so powerful and knowledgeable. So we had I thought was the perfect mosque, right? Because you had that spiritual side, then you had your dad, Brother Sharif, at that time, Brother William. And it was just, you had so many seasoned believers. Like you had like I said before, you had little geniuses running around in the mosque, right? They knew the teachings in and out, Brother Anthony. They knew the teachings in and out. So they were always there to nurture you. And let me just mention a few sisters, right? The elderly sisters, they played a serious role in our development. When we were down, they would walk up to us and just ask us what's going on. I remember Brother Tim's wife would call us Sugar. She'd pinch you on your cheek, figure out what's going on with you, and she'd get you back on track and whatever. It was just so many really seasoned people in the mosque. And I cannot, I'll be remiss to mention, may Allah be pleased with her, Sister Minerva.
That's right.
I'm going to tell you, she was like a mother, right? Any brother who was hungry, if you just went over there and knocked on her door, she would feed you. You didn't even have to ask. You didn't even have to ask. And I was thinking about her the other day, and I was like, well, why was I over her house so much? And it was because she fed us. She would sit there and give you the teachings, and she'd be feeding you at the same time, right? But where are you going to get that? as a young man, you know, and they were always watching us, watching our movements, like correcting us, giving us encouragement. You know, I think we had like the perfect mosque. A brother recently told me, he said, we need to build a mosque on supreme wisdom. I said, no, you don't. No, you don't. You need to build your mosque on love. On love. Look, I can have all the supreme wisdom that I can study day in, day out, but if I don't love, what good is it? I'd rather have just a piece of it. I'd rather have just a piece of it and have big love. Right? I'm not denigrating the teachings, but what I'm saying is, you got to love, man. You got to love each other. You got to love being there. If we missed a Sunday meeting, it was like we missed like a rap concert. We missed like a R&B concert. If we missed one mosque meeting, it's like, because Brother Lean, whenever he would speak, it's stuff that you've never heard before. And he was just so knowledgeable, and then just wanting to be around the brothers. And the brothers, you know, we used to kid around, joke around. We had so much fun in the mosque. It was just like, it was like fun world. And I actually lived in the mosque one time. Yeah, because I didn't have no place to go, and I lived in the mosque. It was like 4 of us. And some people are very famous in here that lived in the mosque. Brother in Memphis, brother used to be Brother Anthony, the minister in Memphis.
Yes,
he was
sir.
there living in the mosque. It was a couple of us used to live there at the mosque. And we used to always have lots of fun together. It was just a fun atmosphere. So the nation was so small at that time that the minister used to call himself. So Little William, I told you I was gonna tell you a story about Little William. Little William used to look like the minister, talk like the minister, walk like the minister. He was trying to be the minister, right? He was such a funny guy. I hope he sees this. So one day I'm in the mosque, like I said before, Little William lived in the mosque too. Brother Carlton, there's about 4 or 5, Brother Nodder. There's a couple, I think 4 or 5 used to live in the mosque. Unique situation, right? How many people live in the mosque? So one day the phone rings, and I told you before, Little William sounds like the minister. And it says, this is Brother Farrakhan. I'd like to speak to Brother Aleem. I said, William, stop playing. And he says, no, brother, this is Brother Farrakhan. I said, William, man, I told you, man, I'm not in the mood. Stop playing, man, stop playing. He says, no, this is Brother Farrakhan. I said, look, William, I'm gonna give you one more chance. I'm gonna hang up this phone. And when he started chuckling. He didn't get mad. He started laughing. He started chuckling. When I heard that chuckling, I knew who he was. Man, I dropped that phone. I said, oh, you know what? And I ran up the phone, ran upstairs, got Brother Lane. But I want to show you how small the nation used to be, right? And how loving we were, because William would call and just do prank calls on people, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But man, we just had so much fun. It's ridiculous. You got to build your mosque. When you have a mosque, you got to have fun. You got to love each other, and you got to have fun. It ain't worth having unless you can have fun and just love to be around each other. And that's the way I felt. I didn't get into your question. Sorry.
I know, but man, Brother Troy, you giving us some great information. People saying, my sister's name says she loves history. All praise to a lot of people saying you are teaching and bear witness, and we can't wait to put this on YouTube. Okay, but Brother Troy, I had a question for you. The picture behind you.
Mayman March?
Yes, sir. The Mayman March.
Oh, I got 2 pictures behind me.
Okay, I didn't see the second one. I saw the big poster behind you, right?
Oh, okay, yeah, Mayman March. Okay.
What was the climate like leading up to the Mayman March, and how did it personally impact you?
Oh, the climate was up to the Mayman March was tiring as all outdoors. We were working night and day. Working night and day. You know, it was a very interesting time, to say the least. Dignitaries coming in and out of the city the whole time. When I say dignitaries, I'm talking about nation dignitaries. Of course, you know, we had our office down on, I think it was on I Street at that time, the NOI security office that your dad ran. He had the big picture of himself, the big gigantic picture of himself that everywhere you look, it was like the picture was looking back at you, and nobody was scared to do anything because of that picture. So you wouldn't do anything, you wouldn't say anything wrong, you wouldn't do anything wrong in that room because the picture had these magic powers or something, right?
Okay, okay.
I mean, huge picture, huge picture. We don't know what happened to the picture, but I'm sure it got burnt somewhere, somehow. But anyway, the climate was it was really up leading up to the march. It was a climate of great enthusiasm, but at the same time, great uncertainty.
Mm.
Because the minister has said that 1 million people were coming, right? And no one has ever done that before, right? So, of course, there's great uncertainty when something like that happens. But looking back, we should have known it was going to be a large crowd, because I remember, people always forget this, but even Prince made a song about the 1 Million Man March, and I think most people forgot that. About a month before the march, he actually came out with a song, a 1 Million Man March song.
I didn't know that.
I wish we could find it somewhere, but he actually did. And a couple of artists came out with songs and whatnot. But the night before, I remember Theo, maybe Marvin or some other people, we were down at the mall, and we saw a lot of people about 6 o'clock or so. There were a lot of people. When I say a lot, I mean people just scattered, right? But that early that morning, we would like our office was like down the street. So all we have to do is take a train to the march, right? And we want to go back to the office, take a train back to the office from the 1 Million Man March. So, that morning we kept going back and forth. But by the time it was like 8 or 9 o'clock, the reality hit that it was going to be a lot of people. So it was a day, probably, I would basically say that it was probably, it rivals the birth of my first child. It rivals that. I mean, it might even surpass that, because to see that many Black people on the subway alone, right? It gave you a sense of, we're in charge. We can take this thing. We can run things, right? So I was on stage actually, because Sharif always took care of his people, right? He had us on the platform, right? That tells you the type of captain he was. He always looked after his men. He wanted to make sure his men were in the best places possible. That's just the type of person he is. So I was up right on stage. And it was a day that you felt like, and to me, I felt like all powerful, right? And I'm going to say something to the critics who say, whatever it became of the 1 Million Man March, whatever happened because of the 1 Million Man March, what it did for me, for the first time, I could see a Black man say, here is the goal, we're going to get it. And despite whatever opposition, and there was plenty of opposition, don't get me wrong, there were plenty of opposition. Despite it, he kept going. He kept going. He had tour after tour after tour, to city after city, and he wasn't backing down. At some point, you would think a human being would say, you know what, it's a good effort, and whatever people come, they just come. But he stayed consistent. 1 million people, regardless to what it looked like, he stayed consistent. And for the critics, it gave me personally the thought that if I wanted something to happen, I say it happens, and I just go to work and I make it happen.
Yes, sir.
And that's the way I run my business. That's the way I run my business. We set the target, we don't reduce the target, and we just increase the activity to obtain the target, the objective. Nobody is going to stop you from getting to your target. Not
Yes,
even
sir.
God is going to stop you from. Why would God stop you from reaching a target? Why would he? See, if God is going to stop reaching and getting you a target, we don't need a God like that, but we know we don't serve a God like that.
That's
But
right.
we don't
That's
need
right.
a God that's going to stop us from getting a target. The white man has done that since we've been here, trying to stop us from doing this. We need a God to say, come on, let's roll.
Yes, sir. Yes,
And that's
sir.
what our God does. Our God says, let's roll. What you want to do? Let's roll. And that's up to you. It's up to you now to follow up and be like the minister and just don't back down. Don't back down. Keep going. Increase the activity. Increase the activity. Increase the activity. It's up to you. It's up to us. It's up to us to do that.
Powerful,
So
Richard.
that day was electrifying. It was absolutely electrifying.
Oh, praise due to Allah. Yes, sir, Brother Troy. People showing you love all across the country. And my uncle, Minister Jamil, says, Assalamu alaikum, what a beautiful brother. He said he loves him some Brother Troy. Excellent. Brother Troy, we have a quick 60-second commercial break, and then we're coming right back to our brother so that we can continue to get some more of this great information as well as inspiration. Thank you, everyone who continues to like, share, and subscribe to the People's Podcast and Cash Out the People's Podcast. We greatly appreciate it.
A camera and a drone. He does television and film editing. Please reach out to him if you need any of those.
How we doing, Josh?
Sister Miriam's ABC I Love Me, children's book and coloring book, and now Spanish book. All three available on Amazon.com. Sister Naima's Stay on Point Dance Academy, LLC. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country, right here in the studios of Atlanta, Georgia. Brother Kenneth's Bow Tie Maker Extraordinaire. He'll ship you bow ties anywhere across the nation. Dr. Henry Carter's King Henry Turkey Legs, right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Brother Rashad Muhammad's COVID-19 Disinfected Cleaning Services, out of Chicago. Student Minister Sharif Muhammad's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ, available on adulsharif.com. And lastly, Brother Joshua Muhammad's book, Cleopatra, as well as No Father, No Excuse, both available on Amazon. If you would like to donate or...
Thank you, everyone who's watching, and thank you, everyone who continues to show people saying this is an excellent interview and people just showing love. I wanted to go back to my mom, Troy. She was always speaking very highly of you. You all were close. What was like your favorite memory of my mother?
Oh, you don't want me to tell you that. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, but your dad gonna be mad. Your dad gonna be mad. Oh my God, he's gonna be mad. I'm gonna duck away from your dad after this one. He knows what I'm about to say if he watching. He knows. He gonna get on. He gonna get on me. I'm gonna tell you. So remember when I said that, you got to have a target and you gotta keep going. And your dad understood that, right? And I saw that in your dad, right? So with Mayfair, when we were out to Mayfair, there were times that he didn't come home, right? He didn't come home for like weeks sometimes. And I guess your mom had enough. She had enough. She wanted him to come home. Apparently, what he was doing was so much more better than coming home. Because that man he basically lived out there like all of us did. He wasn't coming home. And I don't know how long it was, but your mother, she had enough. So one day, your dad and I was sitting out. We were, I don't know why we were at the window. Maybe he already expect what was going to happen. Your mom had packed his clothes, put it in I never forget this, in these garbage bags. And we see this lady get out of the car and just say, woo, throw these bags right in the garbage. Woo, 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 right? Your dad was the commander of men. Your dad could make men knees shake. but I saw your mom make his knees tremble, brother, tremble. I was like, whoa, whoa. He looked at me. He was so pitiful. I have never seen your dad look like that before. You know what he says to me? Guess. I'm going to tell you what he says.
Okay, I'm going to say,
he says, Brother Troy, can you please go get my clothes out? He wasn't going downstairs. He wasn't even going downstairs.
Praise be to Allah.
So look, this sister came to me. I'm gonna tell you why, you know, these stories are so important to me, right? The sister came to me, right? And she told me that her husband, and boy, I'm gonna get in trouble for this. Her husband, put it this way, her husband left a piece of material at a party, a restaurant or something. Some lady found the guy's property, right? And the sister waits till he gets home, and she calls the brother up and say, hey, I got your piece of property, you left it, it's at my house. So he has to go to the house to get it, right? And apparently she gets in the car, she goes with him, and he gets out of the car, and now the girl, he goes in the lobby to meet the girl, and he got to go upstairs and get the laptop. I said, see, that's where you went wrong. I said, let me tell you what I shouldn't say that. I said, let me tell you what Stephanie, she was Stephanie. So let me tell you, because she's my idea of like a soldier. So let me tell you what something she would have did. When y'all got there, she would have just said, you stay right there. I'm gonna go deal with this myself. And she would have went in there and said, look, I'm here for the laptop. And she would have done it with a smile on her face, but she would have known this is our MGT role. Right. So your mom was like, she was like the most angelic, but you knew she was a soldier. You knew if you rubbed her wrong and you deserved to get the raft, you was getting the raft. And she was probably one of the most sophisticated women I've ever met. So may Allah be pleased with her. When it comes to a star, a model MGT, oh my God. I can't think of many other women. I can't think of any that would top, besides Sister Khadijah. Of course, we can't disrespect this Khadijah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But she, like, and I don't know Sister Khadijah like that, right? But I spent many a times with your mom. She was very fun, very sophisticated. Like I said before, she was one of the smartest women I've ever met in my life, smartest people I've ever met. And her brother, Jamil, he's hands down, he's one of the smartest people I've ever met.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't know what they were learning in that house. I don't know what they were learning in that house, but they were two geniuses.
Praise be
and the minister had told your uncle Jamil and my brother one time that people will come out by let me see if I'm getting this right. People will come out by the tens of thousands just to look at you. He said that to brother Jamil and my brother. And I often remind my brother of this, right? I'm like, hey, man, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? Right? Because when the minister speaks words, right, he's not speaking idle words.
That's right. That's right.
He's not speaking idle words. And that's what I want to say to your young audience. See, that day, the minister saw something in me that I could not see in myself.
Yes, sir.
He could not see. He saw something in me that I could not see. And, I'm doing great things now because of that conversation. That when he saw something in me. But let me tell you something that happened to me today. If I can, I went to the mosque today, obviously got the suit on. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the young people. And some of those young people that are there, they were there, but I remember when they were little children. And man, I felt so proud. I felt so proud to see these young children. And we're not young anymore, but I'm just saying, your generation, Josh, I really appreciate everything you do. I'm so proud of you, man. I'm really proud of you because I remember when you were real tiny. But I am so proud of this generation of Muslims, and I'm proud of the generation of Black people in general. I'm very, very proud of them, right? Look, when I was in that room, I couldn't see the things that I was about to do. And when I'm saying to young people, this generation of Muslims, man, I'm so proud because I can see what you are about to do. And the stuff that you all will do will make our stuff look like just a walk in the park. I see how great you all are. I see it, man. I see it. And you asked me, what am I proud? I couldn't think of a day that I was more proud than I was today in our own mosque, just seeing those young people, you know, holding posts and doing the things I was doing when I first came in. And I just know that your generation and younger, they're going to do so many great things that our stuff is going to look so small. But I need for you to believe. As I believed in that room when the minister said what he said to me in that room, I believed at that moment.
Yes, sir.
You all need to believe it, man. I see it. But here's the difference. And I think your generation is much wiser than my generation, to be honest with you, and younger. If y'all do Mayfair again, play for keeps. Play for keeps. Let me tell you what I mean by that. See, I went to Mayfair about 2 weeks ago, and I walked around, my daughter and I. I can't even tell the Muslims were there. I mean, it's quiet, and it looks like a peaceful neighborhood, but there is no plaque, there's no sign. See, if you do it again, if you do something like that on the scale, again, play for keeps, man. Say, hey, look, oh yeah, I'll do this for you, but we want 50% ownership.
That's right.
That way you dictate the story later. See, brothers put their lives on the line. But with the life of one brother, does it equal the checks or the checks that we got? The life of one brother has far exceeded any check that they could ever give us.
Yes, sir.
To do what we did, to just wipe drugs away, you need to play for keeps. And you cannot be afraid to negotiate and say, this is what I want.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You can't be afraid. You got to say, look, we want 50%. You got an interest, we got an interest. Our brothers put their lives on the line. But when I go out to Mayfair and I walked around, and I sent your dad a text, man, I don't see no plaque. Somebody told me there's some plaque somewhere out there, but I didn't see it. The whole damn place should have been named after the Muslims. The whole damn street should have been named after the Muslims. The whole damn area should have. I don't mean to sound that passionate, man, but play for keeps, young people.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Don't let nobody use you as some cleanup and then they go make their money afterwards. I mean, I love Mr. Reynolds. Mr. Reynolds, may God be pleased with his soul because he died, I think, last year. But know your worth.
Yes, sir.
Know your worth. And you are worth more than you can ever imagine. You are worth, that's why they're after you. That's why they're after you, because you're worth something. If you weren't worth anything, they would just let you go. But it's because of your worth. That's why they treat you the way they do. But you young people, y'all gonna do, man, the stuff that we did, man. You're not even gonna be able to compare it. Then when somebody was telling me this back then, I thought somebody was blowing smoke up my you know what, right? And you probably thinking the same thing. But you just got to believe it, man. And just whatever you want, you got to visualize it and just create the activity to actually obtain it, and don't let down.
Yes, sir.
Quit. And that's what I learned from the Million Man March. That's what I learned from the minister. Don't quit. And if you look at the minister, anything he does, he don't quit.
That's right. That's right.
There ain't no quitting that man. I would hate to be in a ring with that man, because that man, he ain't going down. He ain't gonna quit. So I know you got questions, man. I'm sorry.
Yes, no, you do a powerful teaching. All praises to Allah. People are saying period. That's right. 100 facts. Yes, sir. This is beautiful. Excellent. All right. I wanted to ask you about, speaking of your daughter, what advice would you give to future fathers?
Say that question one more time.
What advice would you give to future fathers?
Oh, to future fathers? Oh man, that's a great question. Something I learned even up till today: be gentle. Be gentle. Sometimes we want to make mistakes with our wives, our children, but be gentle. Sometimes you got to be hard, a little harder, not harsh, but harder. But something I'm trying to struggle with today: be gentle. Look, I always say this: you cannot talk to your wife and your children like the minister talks on a rostrum. See, he has to talk and have a certain effect because he's trying to get your attention, right? But I've had the privilege and honor and blessings to meet the minister a couple times one-on-one. And I'm going to tell you, he was very gentle. His demeanor and everything is very stately, he's probably the most perfect man I've ever talked to before, but he's very gentle. It wasn't rah-rah, right? So young fathers, be gentle. Be gentle. Now, I know some people ain't gonna listen to this. I know some people gonna well, first of all, before you even get to father, make sure you know what you want before you get into a relationship. Before you get to the father thing, you got to write down what you want. You got to write it down, what you want in your mate. You got to know yourself, know what you want in a mate. Write it down and be true to it. And if you're true to it, you won half the battle right there. But you got to know yourself first, know what you want, know what you don't want. And you cannot settle for just a nice curvy or nice looking or whatever, right? But get into the right relationship. Is she your friend? Through thick and thin, is she your friend? Can you support her goals and she support your goals? First, you got to have some goals, man.
That's right.
Now, as a father, I used to get my children up every morning and we used to pray and we used to talk. Every morning. They hated it. But I used to get them up every morning and we talk and we pray and we talk, right? You as a father, you must give guidance to your family. Not in a rah-rah way, but you have to give gentle guidance to your family, and it has to be on a daily basis. A daily basis. It's not once every blue moon. It's every day. And we used to get up and we talk about anything, right? It could be the news. It could be Elijah Muhammad's books. It could be what we just read in the Quran. It could be just about anything. But as a young father, you're going to have to do this because you're only with your children a short period of time. The world is with your children a lot longer than you're with your children. So what you teach your children, it has to stick. And you have to be consistent at it, right? I used to ask my children all the time. I used to say, hey, tell me what you want to be. And they used to say, I want to be a doctor, astronaut, lawyer. I was telling them, you ain't gonna never be that. They're like, huh? They're like, oh God, he just killed me, right? I said, no, you can never be that. Let me tell you why. God didn't make the astronaut. He didn't make the doctor. He didn't make the lawyer. He didn't make the accountant. He didn't make any of these professions. He made people that are committed, dedicated, truthful, righteous. These are the characteristics of human beings and other characteristics of human beings. If you be that, you can do whatever you want to do. These are things that you do. This is not just who you are. So I always made a distinction. Be a good person. Be hardworking, be dedicated, be driven. These are characteristics of the human being.
Yes, sir.
Not doctors, lawyers. That's stuff you do. Because what if they took your doctor's license away from you? Then who would you be then? Right. So you have to constantly give guidance to your children. That's what I would say to future fathers that are in the game right now. But if things don't work out between you and the mother, keep it cordial. Don't let it get nasty.
Yes, sir.
Don't let it get nasty. I wish I could just talk to men. If the judge says, if you have to go to a judge, give her $1,000 a month, if you can, give her $2,000 a month. And you know, you got to, don't look at it as this is the mother of your child now. You can't look at it like some men call me now and they be like saying all kinds of terrible names. That B and I'm like, hold it, dude, hold it, man, hold on, oh man, this mother of your child, man, hold it, dude, hold it. The reason why you want to, if the judge says 500,000, double it if you can afford it, right? Because you're going to put her in a good position. If you put her in a good position mentally, then she won't be like you. I can't say she won't do it, but I'm saying the backstabbing, the stuff that she'd be drilling into your children. If things don't work out, you won't have a lot of that, or if you do, it won't be an extreme case where they just hate you. Because if mama not happy, then your children not going to be happy. That's the bottom line, right? So I understand things don't work out sometimes, and they don't, right? Most of the time it's our fault, men's fault. Most times it's our fault, right? But it takes a long time to admit that, but we have to take responsibility. It's our responsibility to take care of whatever happens in our house. You know, the minister was meeting with a couple once, and the minister was mediating between these two couples. I mean, there's this couple, and he turned to the man and he said, "It's your fault," right? And regardless of what the circumstances, he says, "No, you're the man. It's your responsibility. Whatever happens, you're the man. It's your responsibility." So sometimes things don't go right, young dads, but you got to keep a cool head and do what's right for your children. Another thing is, you know, if you double the payment, it really puts you in control. It puts you in the control of the situation. But you want to do the best for your children, regardless of the situation, whether you're with the mom or not. You want to do the best you can for your children. I know that's not the answer you probably were looking for. But
no, that's absolutely the answer I was looking for. I mean, you gave a great response. People are showing so much love. Sister Sultana out of Oakland says, teach. And Sister Carmen Naya, this is Carmen's first time watching. This is a good brother. Teach. People bear witness, period. And, you know, all the heart emojis and the 100 emojis. Everybody showing you love. Now, Brother Troy, will you ever go into the ministry?
I never thought about it, to be honest with you. I like what I do now. I love what I do now. And I'm building my practice, and I love what I do now. I think if you can touch people, inspire people, that is a ministry.
That's right.
It might not be over the rostrum. But back on something that I said earlier about the young people. I play for keeps. Also playing for keeps is also doing this too now. If we do like the Mayfair thing again or something similar, learn to like be bigger, right? Learn to like grab your brothers who call themselves Christians, your sister that call themselves Christians, and learn to grab the people that are in like the other Muslim mosques and train them for their communities as well. Because if we get together, we can have much larger armies. And I said those who call themselves Christians because they're really not Christians, they just followers of Christ, right? So there's a difference, right? So and I love my people who follow Christ, through the so-called Christian, but we have to like embrace them, have them come along, right? Because your army is going to be much stronger, and it's going to be hard to deal with us if we're crossing like Nation of Islam, Sunni Muslim, Shiite Muslim, whatever, so-called Christians and so forth and so forth. If we like train together and then attack, man, ain't nobody can stop us at that point. But when I say I'm proud of Black people, that's Black people regardless to whether they're in the nation, Black people just all over. I'm proud, man. I'm proud of what I'm seeing. Some things are not too cool, man, but you keep the best part preserved for himself, right?
That's right. That's right.
We look at the best part. And what I see our little young geniuses, man, I'm just so proud. And I just our future, man, it looks bright. I'm not a pessimist, right? And the minister looked at me, he wasn't a pessimist, right? So that's the way I look at other people. I try to find the best in people.
Oh, praise this a lot. Well, speaking of your practice, and Brother Nelson Ramos, already from Massachusetts, the Nelson family, Sister Tana said we are the vanguard of the community. Absolutely. I wanted to ask you, what is your business? What do you do? I just know you're successful. I just know.
Okay, so I run a CPA practice, right? Okay. So well, like I said before, when I passed the CPA exam, the first shot after the minister's inspiration. Actually, he sent the message to Sharif right before I took the exam. He said he was praying for me and so forth and so forth. I'll tell you what type of person he is. Such a great person. Well, I'm a CPA practice, do accounting and that sort of thing. And your dad told me once, he said, you're going to have like firms, you're going to have offices all throughout the country. And I thought he was blowing smoke, but I can see that happening now, right? I can see after all these years, I can see it happening, right? But he told me that once. I have a CPA practice, a accounting practice. We deal with everything money. But your dad taught me the first lesson I learned basically about money from your dad was we were real like small. I was handling the books, the accounting books for your dad in NOI security. And I ended up like I was his controller and all that. And a lot of people know that, but he taught me a valuable lesson one day because I was struggling like getting his accounting system going. And he said, Troy, let me tell you something. I said, what you learn in school, they teach you to actually fit into a job. The system is already there. You get educated, and then you go and just fit right into that desk, into that job. He said, your problem is you don't know how to create something from nothing. You don't know how to like create from the beginning. And man, that was one of the best accounting lessons from a man who knew nothing about accounting. He actually knows nothing about accounting, man. And he taught me that lesson. I never will forget that lesson, man. So wherever your profession is, like whatever your profession is, learn how to build it from scratch, right? Not necessarily fit into some job or some cog that's already there. But it was a valuable lesson. So he told me I was going to have like offices throughout the country and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah. But now I'm starting to look at it and say, man, maybe we can do that. Maybe we can do that. I'm a slow learner, man. It takes me a while. I'm hard-headed. So, our practice has grown tremendously. But I tell you this, I've been in business now for about 16, it'll be 16 years this November. And kind of like from the first year, I should really tell you a story of how I started my business too. But let me just get my point across. So the first 1 to say 13 years, I kind of went word of mouth on the business. And when you go word of mouth, your cash flows go up, down, because you're waiting on the phone to ring. But it wasn't until I learned how to sell, man. So I learned the art of selling and marketing. That's when our business really took off. And I don't have no problem saying that, man. We got with Grant Cardone's team, and we have a coach from them once a week, and we basically train on their material every day. That guy like opened the doors for me, man. When it came, he's a game changer. He is an absolute game changer for us, man. Our business is about 10 times what it was last year. But it took, the art of sales, man, learning how to sell, learn how to market yourself. So, a lot of people I don't want to be a salesman, but everybody's a salesman. All right. Everybody is. I don't care whether you're in a relationship with your wife or your husband or whatever, you got to sell ideas. Your children, you got to sell them ideas. Everybody's a salesman. And that's the beauty behind what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us with selling the paper. He was really making us salespeople. He was really preparing us to handle objections. And if you look at some of the great people that are billionaires in this world, they started off by, especially the older ones, they start off by selling newspapers.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. It wasn't the final call, but of course it was, or the Muhammad Speaks, but they sold their own newspapers. A lot of them, Warren Buffett, all of them, their first jobs is selling newspapers. But it was really brilliant what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad really started with the Muhammad Speaks, right? Because he was really training his people to be salesmen, right? And you're going to have to sell these teachings to our people. It was quite brilliant. So,
excellent. Yes, sir, Brother Troy, you've been teaching, and people are showing you love all across the country. He helped free a slave. My brother Rashad says, facts, sales changed my perspective. Thank you, Rashad. This is the first time watching. Sultana says, teach. Thank you, everybody who's showing love all across the country. People, you bringing in new viewers for us, Brother Troy, and viewership. What I wanted to ask you, sir, I wanted to ask you about, man, that last one, that was powerful. Your point about your business. What type of music do you like to listen to, sir?
You ready for this?
Yes, sir.
So, okay, my approach on music, okay. I use music and I don't let music use me. Let me explain that to you. It's interesting that you asked me that question. It depends on where I need to go. That determines the type of music that I'll listen to. So let me just explain it to you. In the morning, when I go I'm getting prepared to the office, I have a routine every morning. I pray, read, exercise, write up my goals. I write monster goals every day. I write my goals out every day. Twice a day, I write my goals out. These are monster goals, big goals in life. So, all right. So in order to write my goals out, I have to live in the moment of my goals, right? The activity that I have to bring when I come to the office has to be so high, I'm living in my goals, okay? So at that moment, I'll listen to 1 or 2 songs that will get me in that moment. That's what I mean by, I don't let music use me, I use the music.
Yes,
right?
sir.
So in the morning, I can tell you my secret, right? I love, y'all might not agree with me, but I love listening to Eminem, man, what's the song? Lose yourself.
That's right.
Lose
That's
yourself.
right. That's right. Yes,
Lose
sir.
yourself. I listen to that probably once a day, man. Because I know when I'm going to work, man, it's game on. It's game on. I got one chance. I got one chance. So I might listen to that like 1 or 2 times in the morning to give me that pump. Give me that pump, right? So I'm pumped when I get to the office, man. I'm pumped. I'm charged, man. So because I have to match that activity, if I got these monster goals, man, I can't operate at a normal level, man. I got to operate at an extreme level, right? So and then at some time I got to wind down. I got to wind down. So I'm going to tell you what I listen to wind down. I love me some Yolanda Adams.
Okay.
Because she's singing about God and she's just so, man, contemporary, her voice. So I'm using the music to meet for my objective, right? I'm not going to listen to music just to be listening to music. You'll never see Troy do that. I ain't listening to music just to be listening to music. I'm using it to really meet the objective because, a lot of these artists are really good. I mean, to a point where they're almost like godly, like, right? You can feel it and you can feel the energy, right? So you have to use that energy, use that creativity to actually flow into your work, right? Use like you got some brilliant ones, you got a lot of brilliant artists out, right? But you use that creativity to transfer into what you're doing. So that's what I mean by I don't let music use me. If I'm listening to music all day long and just being socialized by what they're saying, I'm letting the music use me. But I'm using the music, man. I'm taking their creativity and saying, how can I get creativity? How can I get creative in what I'm doing? And if you just harness that energy, if you just suck it all in, man, when you get on your when you get in your grind, you like, yeah. You know what I mean? So you got to let it use, you got to use it. Don't let it use you. So that's probably not the answer you were looking for, but
that's a great answer. So what you're saying, Brother Troy, so I'm gathering that you're saying you can go from your palms being sweaty and eating mom's spaghetti to being alone in the room.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
I like that. You go from two
I like
things.
that.
Okay?
I like that. but I'm using it for an effect.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. All right. Well, Brother Troy, we have one more question for you, sir. Susanna says, Teeth, brother. Mr. Jamil says, okay, damn, he just be listening to music. He found out he's dumb. Thank you, Uncle Chip, Mr. Jamil. Sister Carmenaya and Susanna says, excellent, powerful. I just want to say this to you. On behalf of myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast, we thank Allah for your sacrifices, Brother Troy, and the sacrifices of your family as well to help establish Islam here in North America. We truly appreciate that. I've learned so much today about you that I never knew. I didn't know any of this. Yeah, I didn't know any of this. You've given us some amazing information as well as inspiration. And I want to thank you personally for your stories about my dad, because you humanized him to me today in such a way that I didn't know none of the stories that you told about from my
I got some more. I
was just like, Dad, I'm like, what? Okay. He was motivating you behind the scenes about being an accountant. I'm like, I didn't know. People usually tell the same stories.
He's gonna be mad at me though, man. He's gonna be mad at me. I'm supposed to be doing his podcast coming up real soon. He probably bumped me off now. He probably don't want me to be on it now because he's afraid I might tell some more stories. But look, before you go, remember young people, hey man, I'm waiting on y'all, man. I'm waiting on y'all. I know y'all gonna do great things. I mean, so much greater than us. I just want to live long enough to see it. And I just want to ride on the back seat. Just watch y'all drive. Baby.
Praise be to Allah. Okay, but we have one more question for you, Brother Troy.
Okay.
So Susanna says, excellent. She learned so much from this interview. Thank you both. Mimi says, one thing Josh is going to do is sing. Thank you, Mimi's. Brother Nasir says, go ahead, family. Yes, and Mimi says, thank you, sir. We appreciate your rich history. And she said him and his mom's has told that trash bag story publicly before, so no worries.
Good.
Yes, sir. But what I wanted to ask you is your legacy. What would you like your legacy to be?
Well, that's a great question. So, like I said before, I write down my life goals, right? So I might not be able to achieve all these goals in my lifetime, but this is what what drives me, and this is what I live for, right? I have a pad. I have one of those new Remarkables, by the way, and I write them down, right? So my legacy will be wherever I lie, like measured up to those goals, right? I'm not trying to like be this person, this great person in history, like remembers. I'm not trying to do that, because when you look at our purpose in the world is to, one, procreate, and the next thing is to have impact, right? And some people's impact is negative, some impact is positive, right? So our jobs is just to impact others. So I can share my goals with you sometime, but it's just that where I measure up on those goals, that is my legacy, right? But the point is, am I impactful every day? Can I impact somebody every day, every single day of this world? Can I impact someone? Right? And that's all I want to do. That's all that are required of human beings, because regardless of what your legacy is, after 100, 200, 300, 400 years, nobody really remembers you, right? But did I impact? Did I move the needle? And God is clear. God is clear, right? What he is trying to do is resurrect the dead.
That's right.
He's trying to make people whole. Okay. So somewhere along on that spectrum of making people whole, raising the dead, my legacy is only worth anything if I can tie it to raising the dead, making people whole. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
That's the only legacy that really matters. Right. So if mine ties to that, that's all. I've served my purpose in life.
Beautiful. All praise this. What an excellent legacy that is, Brother Troy, and people will bear witness in the comments. I would like, especially me and Naima, since we are talking about going to DC. I really want to go visit your office.
Okay.
I want to visit your office and be inspired. You know what I'm saying? Eminem is on my wall 2 times behind me. So
nice. Oh yeah, I see him. I see him.
Yeah, so it's like, now I know you listen to Eminem. You get in the spirit and listen to Eminem and get motivated to come back to Atlanta.
Anytime you come, man, we'll fly you in.
Thank you.
Just let me know when.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna hold you to that, Virgil.
You ain't gotta hold me to it. Just say, hey, I want to come on this date. I'll get somebody in the office to get you the ticket. You'll get you the ticket, sir. Man. Praise hey, by the way, let me know what I got to do to help sponsor your show too, man. We're gonna sponsor your show.
Oh, yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. I'll be glad to call you right after this. I want to thank everyone for watching. This is Joshua Min Muhammad of the People's Podcast. Signing off. Assalamu alaikum. Boom.